Well, it happened. After his last fight against Stipe Miocic, Daniel Cormier has officially announced his retirement. It's hard to imagine the UFC without DC. Cormier has been a mixed martial arts fighter since 2009, giving him a grand total of 11 years as a professional fighter. Today, we're taking a look at the long and entertaining career of the UFC's very own Daniel Cormier. This is Ultimate MMA. While his MMA career didn't begin until 2009, Cormier's been involved with combat sports for some time before that. He was a United States Olympic athlete from 2003 to 2008, competing in wrestling and even acting as team captain for the U.S. wrestling team. But in 2008, DC had to be pulled from the competition when his excessive weight cutting led to kidney failure. It was then Cormier decided to pursue a career in mixed martial arts. After some success in extreme MMA, Cormier signed an 8-fight deal with Strikeforce. DC's first 3 fights in this league had him winning by KO and submission, and MMA fans were taking notice. Cormier continued to impress with fights like his bout against Antonio Silva, where he won via a shocking TKO with a broken hand. DC had certainly made a name for himself, but it wouldn't be until 2013 that Cormier would make his UFC debut. Just to be sure the pressure was on, DC's debut would be against none other than Frank "I Made Brock Lesnar Tap" Mir at UFC Fox on 7. He didn't disappoint.
What Frank can't do is let Daniel do this. Press him up against the cage and limit his ability to move. Nice knee to the body by Daniel.
Cormier won that fight by unanimous decision. After winning his second fight in the heavyweight division against Big Country Roy Nelson at UFC 166, Cormier announced he would drop down to the light heavyweight division. His first fight as a light heavyweight was against fellow UFC mainstay Dan Henderson at UFC 173. This is where DC's wrestling background really came in handy.
Hendo's gas from carrying Cormier for so long. Goodness. My goodness indeed. Look at that. Just complete ragdoll.
Cormier dominated the fight with his top game and won by technical submission in the 3rd round. After proving himself as a top challenger, DC would go up against the legendary John Jones at UFC 182.
Cormier trying to stay in range, but it is not easy against the longtime champion.
Good kick to the body by John. And good defense by John. John looking for a choke.
Cormier lost that fight by unanimous decision, his first loss in the UFC. But even though he lost the fight, he earned a Fight of the Night bonus and a new UFC rival in the process. It was soon after this that Jones ended up stripped of the light heavyweight championship and was suspended indefinitely. This put Cormier up against Anthony Johnson at UFC 187 for a shot at the now vacant title. Despite Johnson dropping Cormier seconds into the first round, DC came back with a rear naked choke submission in round 3.
Daniel's got it under the
Trying
neck.
to lock it up and become the champion.
He's gonna tap.
It is all over. Daniel Cormier is the new UFC light heavyweight champion.
This officially made him the light heavyweight champion and earned him a Performance of the Night award. Cormier defended his title at UFC 192 against Alexander Gustafsson, winning by split decision.
Threw a hard switch kick to the body there, and there's the drive by DC. Looking for the single.
DC, can he get him? Yep.
Whoa.
Good takedown by the champion.
And soon after announcing he signed a new 8-fight contract with the UFC. DC was originally set for a John Jones rematch at UFC 200, but due to doping violations, Jones had to be dropped. So instead, Cormier went up against fellow UFC legend Anderson the Spider Silva in a non-title event.
Oh, good right hand by Cormier. Anderson looking for that elbow.
DC won that fight by unanimous decision. After successfully defending his title fight after fight, Cormier would finally have his rematch with Jones at UFC 214. It didn't go well. Jones recaptured the light heavyweight championship by knocking out Cormier in the 3rd round.
Jones trying to press the issue here.
all over him.
Here comes Johnny Burns with the ground and pound.
That could be
Cormier
it.
trying to
That's it. He's out. He's out.
John Jones has done it.
In the post-fight interview, DC, who had just been knocked out, got very emotional, stating,
I don't know, man. I guess if you win both fights, there is no rivalry, so.
But only a month later, Jones was flagged for another doping violation and was placed once again on suspension. As a result, the fight was declared a no contest and Cormier was granted the belt once again. Cormier got to defend his title again at UFC 220 against kickboxer Volkan Ozdemir. DC dominated the fight and won in the second round.
He's getting his energy sapped out. He's getting beaten up. The fight's dangerously close to being stopped just like this.
It's pretty much there. Warning from the referee, Kevin McDonald, for Ozdemir to get out of there.
But he can't. I mean, he's really...
And that is it. Daniel Cormier defends in style tonight.
From here, Cormier wanted to branch out and started challenging fighters in the heavyweight division. Cormier fought heavyweight Stipe Miocic for the first time at UFC 226, starting DC's favorite rivalry.
Look at that 1-2 by DC.
And then he clinches. Exactly what you gotta do.
Oh, he hurt him. He got it done. He got it done.
Cormier knocked out Miocic in the first round and became the second fighter to ever hold two belts simultaneously in the UFC. Cormier would also become the first fighter to win and defend both light heavyweight and heavyweight belts after his match at UFC 230 against Derek Lewis. After taking Lewis out with a rear naked choke in the second round, DC would be the first fighter to submit Lewis.
He gives up his back and Daniel's got one hook in.
Oh, that's it, Joe.
He's got the neck.
Looks like DC's under that chin.
He's got it.
There's a tap.
That's it.
Daniel Cormier defends his UFC heavyweight title. A quick night at the office for the still heavyweight king and one of the greatest of all time, Gilroy High School wrestling coach Daniel Cormier.
Cormier then dropped the light heavyweight belt to focus solely on the heavyweight division. He stated, "I'd rather walk away this way than have history books say I was stripped." DC took on a rematch against Miocic at UFC 241 in an effort to defend his heavyweight title. But this time Miocic was prepared and knocked Cormier out in the fourth round, causing DC to lose the title.
DC knows he's
Those are...
Right hand up top. Cormier in trouble. Oh, DC the world trouble. He is down.
That's it.
He's down. Miocic is getting the belt back.
The Cormier-Miocic trilogy ended at UFC's most recent event, UFC 252. Miocic won by unanimous decision, despite Cormier getting poked in the eye and tearing his cornea. DC has long said that he would retire after the end of this rivalry, and he kept his word. Cormier announced his retirement not too long after the fight. We know Cormier is too great a fighter and too great of a personality to just fade away. We wouldn't be surprised to see him commentating MMA and WWE. We'll keep an eye out for whatever he does next. Are you gonna miss him as much as we will? What was your favorite Cormier fight? Do you think DC is retired for good this time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button and check back every week for more UFC legends. This is Ultimate MMA.